Hi, folks. Chaucer's The Pardoner's Tale is a very edifying religious this tale, a kind of little parable, but it is spoken by one of the most scurrilous, nastiest of the pilgrims, most nastiest members of the whole company. So let's talk about that, what sets that up, and the contradiction. Now, behind his telling this tale and the fabric of things, yes, Chaucer put this story together well in terms of the interactions of the pilgrims. Well, early on, Miller told his tale. It was a fablio. Fablio, folks, is a humorous tale involving commoners. It has a tendency to sexually explicit or scatological humor. Best ones, like the Miller's Tale, are very funny. Worst of them, dirty jokes, nasty, scurrilous, ugly things, as we get some examples going in that direction, and such as the Reeve's Tale, which is not yet the nastiest one, in the Canterbury Tales. Now, Miller's Tale that started all this, tale of two clerks. Remember, a clerk is a clerical student who were trying to get the attentions of a carpenter's young wife. The carpenter was 40 and married this 20-year-old woman. And, well, the one who was rooming with the carpenter and his wife succeeded by concocting a story about a return of Noah's flood, and that they had to secure themselves in wash tubs on the roof, and then he and the young lady slipped down to the bedroom and were having at it when the second showed up singing at the window. She did not appreciate his distraction, so she stuck her rear end out the window, and in the dark, well, gave her a kiss. Not where he wanted to give her a kiss. He fled, and then he returns. First one's going to compound this by sticking his own posterior out the window. He does so just in time for the second clerk to stick a hot fireplace poker up his rear end, and he sets him screaming. Screams, wakes the carpenter who's up on the roof, and the carpenter falls off the roof, and the neighbors get to come out and see all of this bizarre nonsense going on and laugh at them, and such as that. Funny story, sure. Nasty? Well, yes, a little bit. Got that going. And it starts that cycle of progressively more nasty family. We're working on down the list, and Harry Bailey, the host, says, "Oh, why doesn't the partner go next? Partner, why don't you tell us some funny story?" And other members of the company object. They don't want anything any more scurrilous and nasty than they've already heard. They've had enough of such things. Ask for an edifying story. The partner complies. He says, "Oh, yes, let me get a drink of this ale first." He's drinking, he's drunk. I have coffee, folks. He has his corny ale. At any rate, he complies with a sermon and type thing. He starts off railing about this and that, about the language and such as that, then gets on to the story of three revelers in the days of the plague, and they want to confront death, who is killing all of their friends. And an old man points them to death, tells them they'll find death under such and such a tree that's on down a crooked road. And yes, they follow the crooked road, find a treasure there, and in conspiring to each get more of the treasure, manage to kill each other, effectively finding death. Good story, interesting story, really, really works. But before he started the story, the partner told us, that is, told his company all about himself. And let's look at this scurrilous partner as a metaphor for the Roman Church. This message is good. We looked at the story. It's a beautifully written story. It's moral and edifying, and everything that he said in the style of the time, that is, by the standards of the time, would be taken as, yes, this is true and good stuff. But now, how about the partner? Well, he's a rather bitter man. You would be too, as the partner, we saw from the initial description, saw him with the thin flaxen hair and not a trace of beard. He doesn't grow one. It's likely indeed gelding or a mare, well, likely a gelding, a castrati. And as such, he symbolizes the supposed celibacy of the clergy. Then we look at this man's behavior. He commits, in the course of our observation, all of the 7 deadly sins. He's a drunkard. He claims to have had woman in every town for adultery. He can't if he's a castrati, but we won't worry about that. His lone motive for everything is avarice, money. Now, then, having described his own vices, he tells his tale, wonderful, edifying tale, and at the end of it has the audacity, the arrogance, the hubris, pride. That's another one of your 7 deadly sins, folks, and often considered the first of them. Hubris to ask the people forward. He could have stopped at this one moment of realization, this moment where he seems to have genuinely experienced an understanding that the only road to salvation is Jesus Christ in proper form. But no, he doesn't stop there. He goes on, runs his full spiel, asking the company to buy his false relics and pay for his pardons and indulgences, and calls one forth. He calls Harry Bailey forward, and Harry Bailey calls him a cheat and a scoundrel, and threatens him a bit, referencing his absent sexual organs, his carlions, saying, I would squash them in my hand. And it's a confrontation, the edge of a fight. The knight steps between them. So, the fight is avoided, but we step forward here and find that Chaucer has left us with a picture of clerical corruption at its worst. Roman Church at its worst, message is not just good, it is the message. But meantime, we've had it mouthed by this partner who commits all of the 7 deadly sins, who has the audacity, whether drunkenness is the cause, or whether drunkenness is the cause, or whether he just thinks he is that capable of getting away with anything, he has the audacity to follow up this sermon when he has confessed to the company all of his own crimes, sins, and foul intentions, and says, yes, and you should ask me for money and get relics and pardon. Now, the message is the same as that offered by the true cleric, the village parson, as in the final tale of the Canterbury Tales, the village parson preaches on the 7 deadly sins. But we have, yes, this contrast, good message, And yet the predominant membership of the clergy, the folks we have seen, all of them except that village parson, are corrupt. Corrupt people, good message. Such is the church. And Chaucer is using the pardoner as a model of that church to offer that picture, never questioning the message, but certainly questioning the messengers.